What up, guys? Midwest Boundary Chronicles. This is the sports section. How you guys doing? Let's get into it. College football playoff week 1. A bunch of humble, a bunch of not surprising results. Also one that has Notre Dame a little sad. Getting into it, I was here trying to talk my shit about James Madison University and Tulane. Maybe being able to make a splash, hoping that Tulane, after already seeing Ole Miss early in the year, had a different strategy. Maybe JMU has been a good team for the last 3-4 years. They really can play against the Power 5. I was wrong. I was so horribly wrong. Tulane was never even close to Ole Miss. Ole Miss remembered that they whooped that ass early in the year, and they decided to belt the ass again. JMU, at one point, I'm at work. I go in the break room, and the score is 6-3, and I felt good. I was like, "Okay, JMU, you got a chance. You mean you got a real game?" Came back to the break room about 45 minutes later, and it was like 35-10 or something. Yeah. I know they say the NIL portal and money and everything makes it easier to not have as much, I guess, top heavy teams where you have the Power 5, the Ohio States, the Alabamas, the Georgias, the LSUs, all of them being so much greater than a James Madison, a Tulane, a Virginia, if you would, smaller schools that can still win games but don't look as great as other schools who lose one or two. Well, I was wrong. Because even in the world of NIL, where they want to come out and they want to make money at any school, players also value legacy the same way they value money. Where yes, if you're just a player who knows you're talented enough and you're just trying to make a check because you got kids or you got something going on in college, hell yeah, you're going to go to any of these schools, JMU, Tulane, one of those schools. But if you're a kid who knows you're super talented, you can make the money anywhere you go, but you also want to make it to the big boy leagues, the NFL, I think that does change the whole perception of how you do things. I think you almost move in a different way trying to reach a different destination than just those kids who, don't get it twisted, they go to college now, they really can make a living out in college. They can make $5 million in college and never have to work ever again in their lives. They really can, so it's great. But the players who actually want to go out and be more for themselves, the athletes who choose to be more, they're the ones who actually go forth and go to Georgia's, go to Alabama's, Michigan's, Ohio State's, Oregon's, USC's, Notre Dame's. And so I thought to myself that maybe with the NIL and the transfer portal, that there would be a closer gap. It wouldn't maybe be competing super close. Like, I didn't think JMU was necessarily going to be able to go in there and dominate Oregon. I thought if JMU beat Oregon, it would need to be them beating them 24-21 type shit, where it needed to stay close. Oregon needed to be off their best game. They needed to really be struggling. Well, it didn't go that way. Oregon was ready, poised, and they wanted to whoop the ass, and they did. Tulane the same way. I thought maybe with Ole Miss, Tulane comes in with a different kind of motivation. They did not. Tulane came in thinking, we're just happy we got to the playoff. We can talk shit. Our head coach is leaving, so what does it even matter? They probably didn't even want to put that much stock in trying to win that game. So they really said, you know what? We can just lose. It's fine. And the Notre Dame conversation makes me laugh now, because Notre Dame, after all the shit talking by their athletic director, all the talking, oh, we're not going to a bowl game, all these things, for a school that wants to be independent in only one sport, is independent only in football, but is for the ACC in every other sport but football. I think it's so funny that the argument for them was Miami so hard, and the two teams they lost to this year were Miami and Texas A&M, and they lost to Texas A&M at Texas A&M. Where Miami just went into Texas A&M and won 10-3. Yes, it was a sloppy game. Yes, it's one of those games where you wonder who could have done better. But I'm not sitting here and believing Notre Dame was going to go in there and do better, because their offense wasn't great. And Miami has a good offense, but Texas A&M and Miami have really great defensive fronts and offensive lines. So that would have been hard on Notre Dame anyway, after they already got their ass whooped earlier in the year. See JMU. That was a big thing for me, though, was watching Notre Dame's AD go so crazy, only to watch Alabama win against Oklahoma. After struggling, they came back and had a really good win, 27 unanswered points, and they whooped that ass. Sorry, OU fans, you're at home now. How you feeling? And no more bowl games. So it's like that's your bowl game, and it's just done. Nothing else for you, which is just kind of weird to me about the bowl game conversation, where you go on to the first round of the playoff is your bowl game, but you don't get like a relaxing, like vacation bowl game like a lot of other schools are going to get. So I know you want to be in the playoff, but I also wouldn't mind the consolation of being in Miami or something for a bowl game. But also, Miami going down Texas A&M and winning, and Alabama winning against OU makes Notre Dame's argument completely invalid. Notre Dame, you didn't play anybody. Notre Dame, you didn't have a chance to basically prove yourself because you didn't have a championship game to go to, and you didn't have any other good teams on your schedule besides Texas A&M, Miami, and USC. And you really lost to Texas A&M and Miami bad. You beat USC by 2 scores, but that game was a lot closer than people want to believe all the way up to the fourth quarter. So Notre Dame's conversation is now dead. We're not talking about them anymore. I'm excited to see what Indiana does against Alabama. That's going to be a really good game. I'm hoping. Alabama is battle tested. Indiana is also battle tested for the last 2 years. So they should come into this and they should have a very good game. That being said, something about the Crimson Tide, they just know how to take over games. And as much as Indiana did beat Ohio State to win the Big Ten championship, that felt like a part of me thinks that might have been their championship they were so excited about winning. And do they still have the heart, the guts, the juice to actually go into this playoff game against Alabama and put their best foot forward? I don't know that I can answer that and that I believe it truly. I hope it's a really good game though. Oregon against Texas Tech, also a game that I'm really, really excited about, more because I think to myself, Texas Tech, for being nothing last year and now being the number 4 team in the country, and all the NIL they pumped into their school and everything, they know how to turn the ball over. That defense is legit. They do not play about taking the ball away from quarterbacks. Oregon's quarterback Dante Moore is a little turnover prone, is a little gung-ho with the ball, a little bit of a gunslinger, so he does throw it into danger, into traffic sometimes, hoping his receivers come away with it. But against Texas Tech, it might not be the best situation because you might end up finding yourself down 3 or 4 scores before you blink because they keep taking the ball away. So be careful, be very careful. But that should be a really good game also. What are the other 2 games? So you got Miami going to play... Oh, they're going to play Georgia? Oh, is Miami going to play Georgia? That would really suck, dude. Like that is not a fun destination to go to. So Miami playing Georgia, Texas Tech and Oregon, Indiana and Alabama, and who's going to play Ohio State? Damn, guys, I'm drawing blanks right now because I'm thinking about who all won this week in the playoff. I know Tulane lost to Ole Miss. Oh, Ole Miss is going to play Ohio State. Or they're going to play Georgia. I think Ole Miss might have a rematch with Georgia, which would be a problem for Ole Miss because Georgia will whoop that ass. Ohio State seeing Ole Miss or Miami, I think they're really not worried about either team. I think it's going to be, it is Miami, Ohio State, Ole Miss, Georgia. I watched the interview earlier with Carson Beck. I should have remembered. Both those games are interesting. Ohio State feels like they're not as big of a juggernaut as they were last year without Chip Kelly calling their offense. Their offense kind of being a little stagnant with their OC going to a different job. I don't think his heart's completely invested, which is why I thought it was smart that Ryan Day came out and said he's going to be the one doing plays this week just to get a little bit of pressure off of him. And Ole Miss, Georgia, kind of the same thing as Tulane, Ole Miss, where Georgia whooped that ass earlier this year. And I don't think they're going to go into this game worried. Just like I thought Ole Miss wouldn't be worried about Tulane, but that could be the reason you end up losing because you go into this game and you're not worried. And Ole Miss, they wanted to get the win against the team they know they could beat, but against Georgia, we'll see if their effort levels were the same that they were in this game. Because if they are, they have a real chance. But I am not sure about that, so we're going to see. If I had to pick this week, though, I would definitely go Texas Tech, Ohio State, Georgia, and Alabama as the final 4 in the semifinal is what I would guess, but I'm not sure for sure. On to a little bit of NFL. So this is the 3rd to last week in the NFL. A lot of teams are now establishing themselves. Almost all playoff spots are clinched except for one in the NFC and one in the AFC. Last teams fighting for the NFC one are the Bucks. I believe the Bucks and the Lions are the only 2 teams left to try to get into the playoffs, with the Packers in right now but needing to keep winning. And then on the AFC side, I think it's only the Ravens now, because I think every other team has no chance of getting in. After the Colts lost to the Niners on Monday, it clinched playoff spots for the Bills, for the Chargers. So I think that all they have left in the AFC is the Ravens. If they can win their next 2 and the Steelers lose their next 2, the Ravens get the AFC North and the Steelers stay home. but I don't bank on that, especially if Lamar Jackson is truly hurt. But this is one of those weird years where a quarterback like Josh Allen, who I do love watching, I'm kind of pulling for you. I kind of sincerely hope that with no Patrick Mahomes, potentially no Joe Burrow for sure, and potentially no Lamar Jackson, like this is a year Josh Allen should really look at it and say, I can make it to the Super Bowl. Only problem is that his team around him is not as great as his 13-3 team was 3-4 years ago, as good as his 11-6 team 3 years ago, his 12-5 team 2 years ago. Like, Josh can put a team on his back and make it to the Super Bowl. But my only fear is for all the Bills fans out there, I want him to win it if he gets there. I don't want you guys to suffer any more heartbreak of going to Super Bowl again and not experiencing the elation of winning, because I haven't even been alive for a Dolphins Super Bowl win. But I tell you right now, it feels a lot better knowing we got 2 than we've been to 4 and don't have 1. So it's really exciting thinking about Josh and how this really could be the year he can get over the hump and actually be something more in the NFL, and that would just make his life so much easier. He would be a god in all football gods' eyes. So excited to see how that goes. But yeah, this week of football isn't really that exciting. Christmas games are cool, but not a whole lot of like matchups you're caring for at this point. Now they're fighting for the first overall seed in each conference and seeing how they're going to play each other at the end of the season. So NFC West, shout out to you guys. AFC West, shout out to you guys. Both those divisions looked really good this year. Outside of the AFC West with the Raiders, the Chiefs were in it up until last week. So Chargers, Broncos looking great. The NFC West, Niners, Seahawks, and Rams looking good. And the Cardinals are no slouch, even though somebody had to be the loser in that conversation. So really excited to see where the seeding goes. 2 more weeks of NFL football, and I'll miss it for sure, but I don't miss it as much knowing that my team isn't important going into the month of January. But I love it, so I'm still going to be there for all the playoff games and everything. So it keeps going. We love football. That's how we do things. All right, guys, this has been Midwest Brown Boy Chronicles. I'm your Midwest Brown Boy, Jalen Brown, for signing off. Thank you so much for watching any of my videos before. If you watched any of them, I appreciate you guys sincerely. Have a good week. I'll talk to you guys next week. Peace and love always.